Okay, so you find yourself in a situation where you're in a white hallway with white ceilings and white walls, and you gotta make it look cinematic. What are you gonna do? I recently encountered something like that, and I just want to kind of share with you my thought process on how to turn a boring white hallway into something that has a little bit of depth and interest to it. Oh yeah, there's one other note about this project, just so you know. I just shot this movie, so I'm not allowed to use any of the actual video from it. So what they did allow me to do for this video is just show you a still that I took from the director's monitor. So be wary, this is literally just straight off the director's monitor, but I thought it was still a good enough representative to show you kind of the differences you can make in your project as you're going and trying to do this lighting thing. Now, the first thing I want to do is I want to show you a picture. This is the hallway that I had to start to look with. And as you can see, it is an absolute nightmare. I got fluorescent overheads, I got a white ceiling tiles, I got a white floor, and I've got white walls. It essentially is a big featureless mass, and I need to add dimension to the room. Now, there really was one other really big factor that colored how I approached the lighting of this scene, and that was the fact that we only had 50 minutes to do the entire lighting setup. It was a very, very fast turnaround because we had a busy day that day. Because of that, that led me to choose an Aputure system of lights for my system. One, the Aputure lights are great. You know you can get great light from them, but more important is I can control multiple lights on one app, on the Sidus app. So having all the lights on one app, on one system that you can control, that finesse is really, really critical to getting really, really fast and good light control. Let's go ahead and take a look at it because I think it's important to think of this so you can understand the psychology of why you light anything. Because anytime you go to light and set up a scene, the first thing you want to talk about before you do any lights or camera lensing is why are you going to shoot this scene it was. Now, in this scene right here, just so you can understand the general subtext here, you do have a character who is knocking on a door that's right here. There's a character back here that she's removed from. She can't get access to that character. There's a set of separation and distance. So my character in this scene, it's only one person, but she's feeling left out. She's kind of in the cold, striving for something beyond the door, but not quite able to get it. So that psychology of the scene dictated everything from my lens choices to how I decided to light the room. What I'm talking about, before I even get into lighting, let me talk about the lensing choice. Now, one thing I did is I did set up here down the hall, and I basically, I had some Canon Cine lenses, and I just did a 135 millimeter lens here. And what this allowed me to do, it's allowed me to shoot the hall, but it allowed me to be very, very compressed. It allowed me to bring the whole hall kind of together. I wanted her, she's in a dark kind of oppressed place where she's trying to reach out but can't get there. So I just wanted this place to feel, I just wanted it to bring it tight and do it in there. So I chose to lens it with a 135 millimeter lens just to kind of do that. Now, when we get into lighting, let's go ahead and talk about what the lighting was before I got in here. Now, as you can kind of see here, this is a white hallway, and, you know, basically, I had, you know, fluorescence overheads like this lining the hallway, giving me just pure white. And then on these walls over here, I actually had additional fluorescent tubes that were lighting this. I had another fluorescent up here lighting the hallway, and this right here is actually a hallway, and I had yet another fluorescent overhead doing that. There was a door right here, and I had a small window in there, and guess what? In this room, there were more fluorescent overheads doing it. So the first thing, obviously, I had to do was get rid of all these lights because I wanted to control it. Now, fortunately for me, that was as simple as cutting off light switches in the hallways. Now, these little lights up here on the wall, we actually ended up having to put black paper over because we couldn't cut them off because they were emergency lights. So we put black paper over them so we could start with a base where we could control the situation. Now, once I did that, what I want to do is I want to show you the basic lighting design that I came up with. And this right here is essentially the lighting schematic that I came up with. And I think it's really important to understand when you're lighting a scene like this, I think it's very, very important to make sure you light the background first before you come in and light your talent. You kind of have an idea of how you're going to light your talent, but don't neglect your background. It's super, super important for how you tell your story and how you light the scene. So whenever I'm in a situation with a big scene like this, I'll always try and get my widest shot frame first, and I'll light for that. I'll light for the environment, and then I'll finish off by lighting for the talent. So in this scene, the first thing I want to do is I did want to make it feels like it's at night. It feels like it's before performance. So what I did is I basically turned off all the lights, but I still wanted I didn't want it to be in a completely dark hallway. I wanted some light in there. I just wanted a little more cinematic and dramatic. So the first thing I did is I came down the hall here and I took an Aputure Nova T300C and I just bounced it actually into the white wall. And what happened is that light bounced into the white wall and then it would bounce back, and I knew the spread of it would kind of come down the hallway like this and give me some reflections on the walls. The paint was very, very shiny, so I knew I'd get some of that, but I didn't want to completely blow out the thing. Remember, I'm trying to go away from the white wall. So the other thing that was really, really important is, in addition to the Nova, I made sure that I put a floppy right here in front of the light. And what this allowed me to do, it allowed me to flag the light so it's not hitting the wall right here, which I didn't want it. I just wanted it to come down and start bouncing down this way. And that floppy was a key ingredient in controlling the night. And that Aputure Nova 300C was open face. I had it set and I bounced it, but that key floppy was so important to keeping the light controlled exactly the way I wanted it bouncing down the hall. And after I did that, I wanted to do some more things where I controlled the hall and added some depth. Now, this hallway here, I cut off the overhead and I put an Amaran 200X and I put a silk over it and I just basically bounced the silk. And what I really wanted is I wanted behind my character, I wanted to have just a little arc of light kind of illuminating this little area here, providing some depth. I knew there was going to be dark shadows here. I was going to have a pool of light here. And I really wanted this area right here to kind of give me some contrast. So I wanted to go dark, but I wanted to kind of pop up a little light behind it. And I had enough space between my stairwell that I could have a little more darkness. And then this is the important thing. After I did that, I went up the stairwell and I made sure to put an Aputure 60X at the top of the stairwell. And here's the thing, the 60X I set to daylight balance. I just wanted to get a little bit of blue light sort of kissing and touching the stairs here. Color contrast is really important. I shot this scene as a tungsten scene, so I just wanted to make sure that I had some blue light in here that provided color contrast to the scene. And due to the fact that I was shooting all the way down the hall down here with this 135 lens that compressed it, it made sure that the light that I put on these stairs would add a bit of texture and be part of the scene. So I knew it would all be kind of together. Now, once I did this very simple lighting design for the hallway, then I could start really focusing on my talent. Now, as I said up here, remember the talent is isolated. She's isolated. So what I wanted is I wanted the main source of her key light to be coming through this window that was above the door that she was looking at. So what I did is I took another Aputure Nova 300C and I just put a softbox on it and I took it as high as I could to the ceiling, and then this light just sort of paints her as she's sitting there. It's the light, it's the warmth, it's the thing that she's striving to. And then really the last thing that I did is I just took one more Aputure Nova 60X and I just put it here in the ceiling. We just basically took an apple box, put it up in the ceiling, and hung it from there. And what was important here is this one was very, very important to hit her back. I just wanted to kick her on her. And the reason for this is I really wanted to separate her from this background. I wanted to just kind of cut her out a little bit from all this area and just let her be separated and isolated from the environment. So as you can kind of see, this is a really simple setup, but I really was happy with how it looked, seeing that we had less than an hour to do the whole scene. And I felt like what we were able to do is to take this boring white hallway and add some drama and cinematic flavor to it. So it's one of those things that I think if you're out there and you're stuck in an environment, look at your environment and just start thinking about how you can shape and control that light to the best of your ability and tell the story you want to tell. Anyway, guys, I hope this was useful. I'd love to hear what you had to say with this. Leave me notes and comments down below. And yeah, go there, keep on shooting. And yeah, I'll talk to you soon.